The story begins with a group of monsters with different forms and shapes gathered in a hall wearing red cloaks, raising their hands in the air while chanting an unknown dialect. The chanting continues as the red big crystal at the center shines brightly, giving off a crimson color in the surroundings. Suddenly a sharp bright light appeared, causing the monster with numerous faces to split in half. Terrified, the monsters walk out in fear as a man with a long sword continues to produce sharp slashing light. The man named Ray Chong, a sword lord, charged the monsters with his heavy armored army. Meanwhile, riding in a skeletal animal, an old man with distinct scars on his face named Jork Billmeyer, a grave keeper, carrying a one-horned skull staff and an army of armored skeletons, is also charging towards the monsters. In the middle of the battlefield, as the red crystal continues to emit an ominous aura, Saintess Maria Jaeger with long blonde hair shouts in a crowd that they need to stop the descent ritual. However, it was too late. Cracks began to show in the red big crystal and split into smaller parts. A prompt shows that the tower tier has changed from 12 to 12 hard. Suddenly, blood-splattered and armored men began to fall instantly, as an unknown being with a red cloak and 2 long swords began to emerge and attacked the army, and a new raid goal for the tower was created. People cower in fear, gripping tightly to their weapons as the unknown being walks toward them, illuminating an ominous green aura around it. He is labeled as the 5th season boss, the Lord of Pestilence. He began to sway his 2 long swords in the air, and it produced a powerful impact that could easily cut through the soldiers. They have now a new goal: to defeat the Lord of Pestilence. Standing amid fallen soldiers, the Lord of Pestilence unleashed multiple powerful strikes like a whip that can attack multiple soldiers at once. Some of the armored soldiers have been knocked out on the floor, and some of it has been engulfed in a warm light barrier coming from the enormous shield of a blonde-haired woman, Saintess Maria Jaeger, protecting the remaining warriors. Meanwhile, the Sword Lord, Ray Chong, trembled in fear as he saw his soldiers being defeated one by one. Fearing to die, he quickly fled and left his army on the battlefield. He is being sighted by the Lord of Pestilence and swiftly swings his weapon, creating a large slashing blade-like aura that can easily cut any obstacles on its way. Nobody can escape his fierce attack as it continues toward Ray Chong, who cowardly flees. Out of nowhere, a mysterious man wearing black armor and carrying a heavy black sword appears in the midst of the battlefield and easily deflects the attack of the Lord of Pestilence. It seems everyone in the room already recognizes him and joyfully shouts that they are saved. The mysterious man wearing black armor and carrying a heavy long sword was labeled as the Hero King. He didn't waste another second. He swiftly charged towards the enemy while dodging the powerful and numerous attacks of Lord of Pestilence. The enemy drew a playful grin on his face, signifying that finally, a worthy opponent appeared before him. Their powerful exchange of attacks created a huge and strong whirlwind that nobody can touch nor see what is going on inside of it. Kong Yu-sung, Saintess Maria Jaeger, shouted as soon as the whirlwind formed. Meanwhile, inside the whirlwind, as the 2 warriors continue exchanging high-powered attacks, the Lord of Pestilence muttered under his breath that how dare a fool human attack him on his own, let alone the so-called Hero King, will die in vain, drowning in the ocean of pestilence where no one can reach him or help him. The Hero King confidently thanked the Lord of Pestilence for creating a huge whirlwind that acts like a barrier from the people outside because he doesn't want to publicly show all his powers. He grins teasingly while saying that he is rather worried about what to do. Suddenly, a powerful mana engulfed the Lord of Pestilence, causing the huge whirlwind to grow much bigger and create a great pressure that can easily blow away anyone. The barrier whirlwind subsided and the remaining armies in the battlefield stared in amusement as they saw the Hero King standing unscathed, and floating in his right arm was a fragment of Lord of Pestilence. The whole place reverberates with cheerful shouting as they are victorious to conquer a powerful enemy and prevent the end of the world. Upon receiving a piece of legendary equipment, Black Death, and the title of Lord Slayer, Kong Yu-sung suddenly fell from the ground, his energy drained from the previous battle, and found himself staring at the ceiling and slowly closing his eyes. The scene changes with the sound of shutters while introducing a man in his coat and yellow tie. his poker face makes it more appealing and adds an accent of mysteriousness to his personality. It's the hero of heroes, Kang Yu-sung. He is pretty popular amongst the other heroes gathered in a press conference. The host standing at the podium asks Kang Yu-sung to say a few words about how he felt as a representation of all the heroes gathered in the room. Before he said anything, Saintess Maria Jaeger, the long blonde-haired woman, nudged him on his side and begged him to say something nice even if he didn't mean it. All the other heroes stared at him, patiently waiting for his answer. Kang Yu-sung formed a smirk on his face and grabbed the microphone in front of him. "Hero my ass, I'm doing it all for money." Everyone in the press conference, including the media and reporters, was shocked in disbelief at what they'd heard. "It was over for me a long fucking time ago." Kang Yu-sung confidently said those words with a straight face, and the camera shutter began endlessly clicking everywhere in the room.